Aloha! It's me, and I want to tell you a story called Once Upon a Bee Farm. But before I get to the bees, we need to talk a little bit about the history leading up to what planted me on a bee farm, completely off grid. No electricity, no financial resources, no car, no material possessions to my name. After 6 months of deep medicine work with my plant ally, ayahuasca. So, part of what brought me to Maui to begin with were the bees. I knew I was going to work with the bees in some capacity, I just had no idea what that meant. I was guided by the owls, and I was also deeply on my medicine path when it came to working with grandmother medicine. When I first got to Maui, I had a beautiful first chapter, and then when the Maui fires hit, I moved off island to Brazil for 3 months with my boyfriend at the time. Once we were in the middle of the Amazon cooking a lot of medicine, I realized he wasn't the person I was supposed to spend my life with, and I came back to Maui with no plan and no possessions, and was immediately scooped up and brought to a bee farm. The bees were very much my saving grace, along with my other critter friends on the farm. This is a power circle. This is definitely a power circle, yeah? Squad up. This time on the farm gave me the opportunity to work in nature and ground down after a lot of disillusionment. I needed to reintegrate on this planet, and I also needed to heal my heart. And so a lot of the work that I did for trade on this bee farm was pretty mindless, but it was beautiful because it allowed me to be in a constant state of meditation. I was able to use my hands and my senses, and I was able to work with bee products, and that was something that I took to very naturally and loved very, very much. My days on the farm were pretty repetitive and filled with so much honey. Most of my diet was honey, and a lot of the tasks that I had were monotonous. Honeybee frequency. This is what I mean. Just chilling, meditating with the bees. But I got to spend a lot of my time making art and going inward and integrating and processing and spending time in my own energy, which was really necessary at that time. Aloha! Check out my view. And I had the best view on the planet, I'm convinced. This is how I'm spending my moon time. It really, cannot get more feminine. Bees are feminine. Luna is feminine. The ocean is feminine. Even so, I live at the base of Haleakala, which is the volcano on Maui, and across from this property is an island, and it's dedicated to the goddess of the moon, Hina. So I feel very aligned with where I live and how I am choosing to surround myself with really, really powerful feminine energy right now. The nights were long and very, very cold, and I was off grid. So when it was time, I was able to work in town at the bee shop owned by the same steward of the farm I was living on. And there I got to make a lot of candles and share my energy a little bit with the people that came in the shop. But I really, really loved my time up at the farm. So it was a beautiful balance for me. And it was also, I love to be alone. And so I just got to be with the bees and myself and my art. And it was a time I think I will cherish for the rest of my life. And hold very near and dear, and it definitely wasn't without its challenges. There's a lot of nights that I was cold and tired and confused and upset, but the sun always came up the next day and I always had the bees. And they taught me how to depict their frequency through art. So I started creating my representation of the honeybee frequency. And I was surrounded by the hives and enveloped by this frequency. So it really just poured right through me. And I was creating a piece that was deeply sacred to me. And it captured the essence of my time here and the honeybee frequency and the beauty of the scenery that I was just so blessed to be surrounded by. And after about 3 months on the farm, I felt the time was up, and coincidentally, not coincidentally, I finished my piece, and on leap day, I felt the call to pack up and leave. I'm packing up my cabin at the beehive. A friend let me borrow his truck and move my stuff off the farm and into his place for a week while I got everything figured out. But I felt the movement and the wind beneath my wings. The most precious cargo in the back of the pickup. Paintings and coconuts. And I felt very supported and protected with this piece that I was trucking with me. And so I said goodbye to the bee farm and I loaded up the car, and my inner masculine loves a good pickup truck, so we had a good time driving that. And the next week I found the perfect home. And I stayed here for a few months, and then the honeybee frequency came with me as I moved a few more times to new homes. And then this week I felt very complete, and I built a sacred fire ready to end this cycle. And so here we are 1 year later, and I felt the urge to free the honeybee frequency. And so that's precisely what we did. I do too, it feels right. Did you guys put rocks around? Okay. Hey, Kali, burn it all away. If it doesn't serve us, then burn it all away. Burn it all away, Kali, burn it all away. If it doesn't serve us, then burn it all away. And I really see the honeybees as a symbol of the divine feminine. And I feel I carry these codes too. And so something like that can't be confined or bound to something stagnant, such as a canvas. And as deeply as I loved and cherished this creation as my most sacred possession, it's something that can't be possessed. So in prayer, I set it free. And in a way, it was another layer of freeing myself. And I am so grateful for this cycle and this peace and the honeybees, and it feels like a completion and an initiation and a reactivation all at the same time. In my opinion, this is alchemy in all her glory, under the stars with perfect planetary alignment, unplanned and divinely guided by forces far more knowing than I. And I'm asked to simply listen and allow. And then I become awestruck after the fact by the synchronistic synergy of it all. But that's kind of the point. And this is the nature of the great mystery, of which the honeybee frequency is simply a key.